Vert Murchison shook his head sadly as he slowly took in the devastation that surrounded him. It was night on Erickson, and the lights on the roof of his sheriff's office depot slowly flickered and alternately cast red and blue light everywhere, reflecting eerily off the sides of buildings, window glass, the sides of the ambulance, and the mirror glasses and the metallic cap badge of his second-last surviving deputy. What remained of the other, a young man by the name of Jim Horton, lay on the ground a few meters away, an oddly shaped little mound covered by a shiny tinfoil blanket of death. It scarcely did the late Deputy Horton justice, quite contrary to the lively, muscular young man who always had a smile on his face, Vert remembered. Beside the mangled wreckage of a bicycle, another misshapen, though even smaller mound lay nearby, motionless as well. He could only imagine what Sam and Jill Erickson would be going through once they found out, not to mention the extended family, which was, he realized, just about everyone in Caverna. Behind him, a fire hydrant had been sheared clean off at curb height, and a column of water cascaded vertically into the night air, simulating a light rain shower as it came back down across the street, sloshing and spraying this way and that, making pools that slowly drained into nearby curbside sewers. The water made a disturbing rhythmic sound as it fell that reminded Vert, who grimaced somewhat cynically, of the emissions from a severed artery, as it spurted and clattered on the distorted roof of a nearby smashed car. In his time on Erickson, and before, Vert Murchison had seen deaths, natural deaths, industrial accidents, and ultra-rare murder perhaps, but never anything like this. It all seemed so senseless. "You good, Sheriff?" his last surviving deputy inquired with heartfelt concern, putting his digital notepad into his belt pouch. The younger man, Matt Ingleson, was still shaking visibly, Murchison noticed. Vert's jaw had hardened. Like Matt, he was angry, infused with a cold, hard, vengeful anger, and with good reason. He made an effort to try to relax. It wouldn't do to let this get to him. Not now. The people of Caverna needed him to be on top of his game, and they were jumpy enough now as it was. "Yep," Murchison grunted, trying unsuccessfully to brush it all off, and reached up with one hand to push his cap slightly backward for comfort. "I guess so." But he wasn't. Not really. He couldn't be. A trail of destruction had run right across the cavern that day, from one side to the other, cutting a swathe through the center of town, through several houses, the town's only small motel, a general store, and the movie theater. 38 people were already known to be dead, killed in these horrific events, his other deputy being one of them. 16 injured had been taken to the hospital that day alone, and some of them might not make it. Vert Murchison's eyes were drawn to the two distant gaping holes in the cavern wall on opposite ends, which marked the passage of the perpetrator's coming and of its going, and a string of disasters between them. There were a lot of mysteries surrounding this senseless tragedy, but the how wasn't the part of it. No, the metallic monster that had done this deed was not unknown, nor was it capable of being held culpable for this deed, at least not by itself. It was a drillipede, one of the large, segmented, train-like semi-automatic drilling machines the miners of Erickson used round the clock on a daily basis. This carnage had all been caused by just one drillipede, but it couldn't have done it by itself. And neither was this an isolated incident. Someone was responsible for this, all of this. But the only questions that remained to be answered were who and why. "Sheriff Murchison?" a male voice called out from behind. Taken by surprise, Vert turned round. Two men, strangers he didn't recognize, and Vert knew everyone on Erickson to some degree, had appeared in the center of the intersection as if by magic. Vert hadn't seen a transmatter being used for some time, since he'd arrived on Erickson, as a matter of fact. Still, he could tell that the two men in neatly pressed Space Fleet uniforms had just arrived by that method of travel, presumably from their ship in orbit over the planet. It was a safe bet, because, Vert thought, nobody wearing snappy uniforms and neat shoes like that would intentionally have walked into the center of the ankle-deep pool of swirling, muddy water that had gathered near the drain. At least, not on purpose.
Stuart Flane, captain of the starship Mercury, and lately the butt end of innumerable jokes doing the rounds at Space Fleet H.Q., is called upon once more, kicking and screaming, to investigate all manner of preternatural fuckery. How would Flane's skeptical superiors react to his next report? And above all, how would he word it? The word carefully always came to mind. Sooner or later, he worried, someone was going to turn up demanding answers. And it wasn't too long before someone did. Commodore Link, the heavy-handed disciplinarian, makes it his business to get to the bottom of Flane's alleged fraud, and his investigation progressively turns the starship captain's life into a bit of a miserable hell. Then, as if by coincidence, the Mercury is redirected to a nearby industrial colony to investigate disturbances at what, much to Flane's acute embarrassment, turns out to be one of the most haunted hotels in the outblack. Erickson a mining colony, is also in trouble. Children are vanishing in the underground colony, and the fact that it's sealed off from the surface in itself makes that suspicious. But the nightmarish events lend an otherworldly aspect to the case. Worse yet, people are dying too. Sheriff Morganson, that's me, needs help in solving this case urgently. Leading from the front, Flane charges into an old photograph to take the fight home to the entity responsible. But will it be enough? We All Fall Down is book 3 in the panic horror in space series by South African writer Christina Engela. Get it now on Amazon in ebook, paperback, and as an audiobook narrated by Darla Middlebrook.
Cosmic creeps in the night, screaming under starlight. Can't run, can't hide in the blackened sky. Never safe inside this metal grave, lost in time and place. Feel your heartbeat race.